Hello everyone. So we want to share some reflections on the current transiting of Venus. At the time of this video, Venus has entered the 11th degree of Capricorn. She's going to stay there for a good 2 or 3 weeks or so. She stations at 11 degrees in a week from now. So right now she's basically at the really slow moving point. And she's going to move not even more than a degree from now until the time in about a week where she actually moves direct. During that time, Mars is going to enter Capricorn and really soon join Venus. So there are a couple of things to speak about with this. When Venus, just as any planet, is slowing down to station direct, there's a pulse on that planetary function. There's some sort of freshness of insight, clarity of direction beginning to emerge right now. There's oftentimes at that stationing time when it's slowing down, a lack of clarity or certainty in terms of where this is going or what we can practically do to integrate it and move with it in our lives. It's because that awareness is actually beginning to open up. So it's helpful to validate that right now there's actually a return of self-value, self-clarity, self-direction. Venus in Capricorn moving direct at the core is a stripping away of all the ways in which we're associating value with external measures, right? What I look like, external measures of success, external measures of relationship, external measures of value. This has been the journey that we've been on during this Venus retrograde in Capricorn. And it's a very introspective process, actually, deeply introspective. So we can think of it right now as we're sort of sitting in this growing immersion in what's wanting to be claimed and understood. And the question actually is, what does it look like to love myself, to trust myself, to value myself more deeply? And in that way, it's to love, trust, and value our relationships, the things we're doing, the things that we have, less from a place of this is some sort of artificial, superficial value that I've told myself is important that I want, but actually from a place where we appreciate the good. We appreciate what we have. I often think of Venus, actually, while it corresponds to pleasure and beauty, there can often be this indulgent quality to it. So you can have this archetype of a lot of things, a lot of sensual stimulation, or being very outwardly focused towards other people and how other people make us feel. But there's this quality that I often associate with Venus at the core of its being with a radical simplicity. And I think of Marie Kondo and that whole arc, which I just love, and I'm kind of inspired to reconnect with her teachings. Keeping only what sparks joy. A state of being where our consciousness isn't cluttered with a lot of what we don't love. And it's tricky. If we can use this as sort of like gauge for self-reflection, what are the ways in which we're cluttering ourselves with that which we don't love? The ways of being, the values, the things, the stuff. We'll let these cute little kids pass. And we've told ourselves, this is meaningful, this is valuable, this makes my life better. But it actually doesn't. It actually just takes up a lot of space. It's so easy to do that. Venus can be comparative. That's the Libra quality to Venus. And then in Capricorn, it's like, well, that's what the Jones have, right? This is what a relationship looks like. This is what a family looks like. This is what a good job looks like. This is what financial success looks like. These are all these different qualities that we can easily measure as valuable because we're just so conditioned to believe in it. So to take this stationing period as an opportunity to really ask ourselves, what's true for me? What brings me life? What makes life livable? What brings with it a sense of true pleasure? Pleasure is not of the body. Pleasure is not of this. As much as we think it is, it's not. True pleasure is the state of being where we feel in harmony and at peace with the present moment. Where the people, the relationships, how we're giving, what we're asking for, what we're receiving, what we're, the exchanges of energy, the things in our life, where we feel a sense of balance. And the energy of balance is much more of a spiritual thing. It's a felt sense of this isn't taking up more space, it's creating more space. And there's so much pleasure in that. It frees us up to the present moment.
I like the idea of Marie Kondo's, challenge, which is essentially only keeping things that spark joy. But when it comes to Capricorn, it's all of the voices, the external authorities, and the conditioned beliefs or structures in our life that no longer spark joy. And a big part of the revolutionary quality of Aquarius is freedom from the known. And when we have Venus and Mars, that will be later on in the coming months, moving together into Aquarius, we're in this period now, which is like the preparation of that next phase. And so there's sort of like a shedding of all the conditioned beliefs and ways of living and structures in our life that don't spark joy. And when we do that, then we're left with these sort of bare bones. If you've ever torn something down until it's just like the bare bones, and then only put back in what you absolutely love and value, there's a calling in this area of our life, and especially with the nodes moving through Taurus and Scorpio, like the Scorpio end, the Pluto journey, really, with Venus and Mercury both making those multiple conjunctions to Pluto, is again a letting go process, again and again, of that which isn't giving joy. And we've believed somehow that it's necessary, that it's functional, that it's acceptable, that it's a part of what life is. And when you strip everything down, you find, oh no, I actually say what goes in my life. I actually choose the relationships that I feed, that nourish me, the structures that reflect the deepest sense of value and connection that I want. I choose the ancestral healing and the lines that I carry. And then moving forward, I bring only into that space that which it truly sparks joy. And so there's a special quality to this particular time, as she's so slow, and this turning again towards direct motion that really brings us into a space where so much can be shed at just 1 degree. There's so much power and intensity in particular. And then all of that will move us forward. The less we have to carry into the new phase, the easier it is to move forward into that phase. It's like the less you have to carry when you're traveling, when you're moving somewhere. What you take with you matters. And who you choose to be with matters, and what you choose to build your life upon, the daily habits and choices that you make, they matter. And you're the one who gets to say, oh, this is what really reflects the innermost value that I've come to know within myself over this time. And so I just feel like this is a really potent energy. And then as Mars comes together, the actual drive to move that forward will meet up with Pluto one last time. And I always feel like the first pass and the third pass are the most powerful for us, because the third pass will reveal the deepest ways in which we have really integrated everything that's come during that cycle. So.
And it's really meaningful to note that this stationing direct, Mars joining, it just brings a lot of energy. And Mars and Venus go together for a while and go to Pluto. So there's this unraveling of so much more psychological content, so much more.
It's fun.
And so we can trust that. I want to actually invite that we are prayerfully appreciative and trustful of that.
Yeah.
We don't know ourselves.
And we're prepared for it on some level. We've gone, this slow process of internalization has prepared us for facing a level of content that we've not faced before. And the journey in and of itself, the whole retrograde, is that preparation, integration, so that we can be entering into a new phase. What's interesting about this whole Venus journey is that she repeats the same transits at the end of the year as she did at the end of last year. In a way,
The end of this year?
at the end of 2022, December 2022, 2022, she'll be tracing the same degrees that she did at the end of December 2022.
Yeah.
So we'll look back a year from now and see how much our life has changed in all these many areas as a result of the full culmination. But right now we're getting a little microcosm of what that work is. And yeah, I think your prayer to not fear the psychological content, especially with the nodes in Taurus, Scorpio, is wise. It's like we don't want to fear our shadow. We want to face it, and actually that fearlessness in facing it is what brings it to dissolve, brings it to healing, brings it to love, which liberates all things from any shame, Capricorn, judgment, constriction. So
I think there's, with the North Node in Taurus, right? So of course it's ruled by Venus. The transits of Venus throughout this 18-month window of the nodes in Taurus, Scorpio is really essential because that's the lead point to our collective evolution, Venus ruling the North Node. And so I like to say with this nodal axis, there's a teaching for us, even during sort of psychologically intense periods where there's a lot of content, a lot new learning, a lot of deconditioning. By the way, these deconditionings are pointing to some of the deepest assumptions, the deepest people-pleasing patterns, the deepest, this is how I'm going to get the sticker. All of this is really emerging right now so we can actually live a joyful life. To maintain a ground of stability and health and continuity. That's what the Taurus North Node is constantly inviting, even while there's deeper psychic content emerging. So the analogy I like to give is if you're working on a garden, there are weeds, there are weather issues, there are all these different things that are coming up. But to stay connected to your life, you're here in a body, we're here on this evolutionary journey manifesting in human experience for a reason. And it is important to honor the value of our human life, the importance of cultivating peace and contentment within ourselves, even when things, so a message that I've been getting has been to take care of myself, exercise, just to really bring more attention to my basic love and care for this physical experience, for my body. And I think these are really important teachings right now. Another thing that's interesting, you're speaking about the movement into Aquarius. I guess that's at the end of February, early March, right? Mars and Venus, they pass Pluto, and then Venus actually begins to separate. What's happening right now is as Venus is stationing direct, Venus is trining Uranus at 11 degrees Taurus. So it's interesting because like the retrograde energy is sort of Uranian. That's a Jeff Green observation. The retrograde, it sets us apart from the status quo. So there's more like, what is it like to do it differently? It's sort of embedded in the retrograde archetype. And as its station is direct, we can creatively say we're integrating a more evolved status, like we're moving into a more evolved, liberated way of knowing ourselves. And so right now, for the next week, there's a tightening trine between Venus and Uranus, just as Venus is moving direct. And Venus and Uranus also just began moving direct. So they're both like moving forward, they're tightening on a trine. To me, it's like a lot of new insights, realizations, discoveries, and they can feel threatening, an earth sign, destabilizing, and trine, they're here to be seen and not resisted. And they lead to more life and more harmony and more integration. So I think there's an invitation in this trine, as they're tightening over the next week, to really just listen to the signals coming from the unconscious realm, right? The higher perspective, the higher mind, and to see what it's like to liberate from fear and to open up the field to more harmony, more beauty, more peace in ways maybe the mind wasn't open to originally.
Yeah, the image that just came to mind is like sort of like tuning a radio frequency, but within your inner being, within your body, to something that might feel destabilizing at first because it's unfamiliar, but then all of a sudden you realize that it's bringing in new energy and it's allowing for a new sense of connection that hadn't been experienced before.
Calibrating, we have to calibrate at a certain level in order to appreciate new dimensions of experience. All right, thank
thank
you
you.
everyone for watching.